Hello and welcome back to another episode of Killer Ant Reviews. Today we are actually looking at Shards of Space by Robert Sheckley. This is actually a series of short stories by him, and all I can say is this is a very fun book to read. Also, interestingly, this is the only book that I actually didn't actually purchase or was given to me by a friend. Uh, During I was doing a move, I actually found it. I guess this either belonged to my dad or one of my brothers. And I tried selling it, didn't really get anyone who wanted it, but that was before I started reading these kinds of books. Ended up just throwing on a whole pile of books I was going to read later. Came across, selected it, and I'm very glad it didn't sell. Because right now, this is probably my favorite book of all the books I've read so far. Let's talk about the cover first. Cover is a little bland. It's just definitely like the reddish. The picture of the creature right here, that's actually pretty awesome with these guys. So, yeah, it's basically a series of like 10 or 11 short stories. The ones that really stand out. The first one, which is Prospector Special, it's about a guy who goes to Venus and he's like looking for like a rare mineral so he can get rich. He's basically spending the last of his fortune, and this is really well written because every single page is basically kind of like a fight for survival. He's running out of money. He's running out of time. He almost has like no water, no food. He's being hunted by like space wolves or something, and he has to find this mineral, and like everything is just going wrong, and he has to figure out a way to survive. It's definitely a great short story in order to get like you interested. The next one that stands out is, I believe, The Meetings of the Mind. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, Meetings of the Mind, which is about a small alien creature that if you get stung by it, it merges kind of minds with you. The alien creature, turns out it's a whole population of creatures, and they take over you to add to kind of a collective, kind of like the Borg. And a group of people are just trying to fight him off with whatever alien, with other animals and humans that it takes over. It's definitely an intense story, and one of my favorites too. Because, like I said, like the first one, everything seems to go wrong for them, and they have to figure out how to defeat this creature that's small, hard to spot, and extremely fast. There's also some very very short stories too. Alone at Last has an interesting twist to it. Only a few pages. Basically, once you get to like page 120, the last four stories, they go really quickly. The only story that I really didn't like is the last one, which is the special exhibit. I just didn't feel like it was good. But comparatively, I'd rather have one not so good story and have everything else be absolute gold. And that's what it is. There's other stories, such as a couple going to like an asteroid to basically farm, and it's kind of interesting because it reminds me of a Jetsons episode where they move away from civilization to live in a more primitive area, only for other people to come in to basically take over. And it definitely had some sense of humor because they complain about like, oh, he has to work 6 hours a day to get the store right, while the robots basically do all the work. He has to manage them. They almost didn't. The wife almost left during the night because her mattress was lumpy. All the food was slightly overcooked. It's kind of like if someone who has all these. It's like someone who's basically feels like someone who's like rich and lives in mansions all of a sudden goes to like a townhouse. Like, oh, I go from a 8-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom house. but it's definitely humorous. And each one definitely has like some of them do have like special twists, which I definitely love, and others definitely end up being a satisfying ending. So what would I rate this book out of 1 through 10? Definitely a 10 out of 10. Even with the last story not being so good, I can't really take away from the rating because the last story is only just a couple pages. Is barely even considered a story. It's the shortest one of them all, and it took me about a couple minutes just to read through it. So, and second, the other stories are just so strong that I don't really care that the other one isn't that good. And overall, of all the stories I've read so far, this is my favorite. Well, of all the books, this is my favorite book. So sorry, Escape from Prison. You've just been dethroned. So once again, this is Killer Ant Reviews. I'll see you next time.